This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning everyone. Shalom Aleichem, Bruchim Abom. We continue in Mishna Berura Daf Hashavua. Sorry for the delay, Zoom was updating. And today we're going to read the Biur Halacha and Siman Daled. Regarding bottom line, we know you're going to end up washing your hands twice in the morning. Once for what we call negel vaser, to take off ruach ra, and the other one is really for tefillah. And the question is, you're going to wash your hands, one for negel, one perhaps when you come out of the bathroom. So at which juncture should you say the bracha of Netilas Yadayim? In other words, first you're going to wash your hands in the morning to get off the ruach ra. Later on you're going to end up going to the bathroom before you daven and make an asher yatzar. At what point of time are you going to say the bracha of al Netilas Yadayim? So here's a little bit of the issue. If you're going to say it the second time, well, you're going to say it the second time, but you already yotze in the midst of the first time. How can you make a bracha the second time? According to the Rush, that the reason for Netilas Yadayim is because your hands are dirty. So I understand how you could say Netilas Yadayim the second time, because even though my hands were dirty as soon as I got up, but then I went to the bathroom again, so my hands are still dirty. So I could wash my hands and make a bracha, and the bracha could be this on the second washing, because the second washing is an obligatory washing for tefillah, because my hands are dirty. But according to the Rashba, that the reason for Netilas Yadayim in the morning is because in the morning I'm a Berura Chadash, I'm a new creation. Okay, great, I already washed my hands. So if I didn't make a bracha then, how could I go then, wash my hands, and make a bracha? I can't make a bracha. I already was yotzei the mitzvah 20 minutes ago. This is a 20-minute hefsek. That's going to be the question, because really, according to the Rush, the proper time to make the bracha is right before you daven. According to the Rashba, the proper time to make the bracha is immediately. That's the issue at hand, really. And we're going to read this Biur Halacha. The Biur Halacha is Aleph. Va'afilu lo yasa tzrachav. The Rama said that if you wake up in the morning and you don't need to go to the bathroom, the minhag is we still say asher yatzar. Then the Mishna Berura discussed that if somebody has to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, can you rely on the asher yatzar in the morning? It's a question, and furthermore, you'll probably have to go again, and therefore the best course of action, somebody sent me a message yesterday. Let's say you get up at like 6 a.m. or 5 a.m., and you have to go to the bathroom, and you want to go back to sleep for an hour. And he says, in all probability, you won't have to go again, he says. So when should you make the asher yatzar? Should you make it the first time, or should you just wait till the morning? So really the best thing to do is make an asher yatzar when you get up at 5 a.m. and then try to go again, even though you feel you already took care of the job an hour ago, but try to go, and this way you could be yotzei all opinions. So let's read the Biur Halacha inside. Va'afilu lo yasa tzrachav. Ayin b'Mishna Berura b'Seif. The Mishna Berura in his end quotes the Chayei Adam. And the Chayei Adam said, this was the Mishna Berura of Katan Daled, that if you want to get out of any issues, then after you wash negel vaser, you go to the bathroom. When you come out of the bathroom, wash your hands again and make an asher yatzar. And it's better to delay Netilas Yadayim until after the second washing, especially if at the time of the first washing you had to go to the bathroom. So says the Biur Halacha, V'zel l'shen ha'chayei adam b'chal zayin sifvav. Nachayin lahamtin levarech al Netilas Yadayim al achar shemenake atzmai v'roitzel espala. It is correct to wait to make Netilas Yadayim until after you want to clean yourself and you want to daven. Da'az yatza l'kulayama, because then you're yotze according to everyone. Aval kishaberach mikoidem. But if you're going to make al Netilas Yadayim first, and then you're going to, let's say, have to defecate, and then someone's going to have to go to the bathroom. So then according to the Rush, you're going to have to make a bracha again, right? Because the Rush says the reason for Netilas Yadayim is your hands are dirty. So if someone were to wash negel vaser, then, and make a bracha al Netilas Yadayim, then defecate, and then he washes again, he'll have to make another Netilas Yadayim according to the Rush. Now, do we hold that way? No, even though we don't hold that way, you should be careful. In other words, the Chai Adam is saying that if you're going to make an Netilas Yadayim right away in the morning, and then you're going to have to defecate according to the Rush, you will have to make another bracha. And even though we don't paskin that way, it's something we have to be concerned about. This is this psak of the Rush is quoted in the Magen Avram Sivkatan Aleph. That ad kan l'shoiner the Chai Adam. The Biur Halacha points out that the implication of the Magen Avram of the Chai Adam is that he had a different girsa in the Magen Avram, but according to our girsa in the Magen Avram, it's very hard to read it. V'chein kasav hagoyin Reb Chaim Sanzer b'hagoyisav. Reb Chaim, the Sanzer Rav, I don't think it's that common that the Chavetz Chaim quotes the Sanzer Rav, but the Sanzer Rav also concurs that you should delay making Netilas Yadayim until later in the day. Umashma min Chai Adam. So that's the psak, the Chai Adam. You get up in the morning, you wash Negel Vaser, and don't make Netilas Yadayim, because if you're going to have to defecate, you'll have to make the Netilas Yadayim again. Now, Umashma min Chai Adam. The Miyushu comes man harbe kodem atfila. Let's say you get up a long time before davening. Somebody asked me about this yesterday. Mendy, you asked that yesterday? About, let's say somebody gets up a while before davening. Let's say an hour before davening. Afilu imhitil meraglayim. Even if he urinated. Probably before davening, he's going to go to the bathroom again. So the Biur Halacha is assuming if somebody gets up an hour before davening to learn, and as soon as he gets up he'll be mashed and he'll urinate, probably he's going to go again before he davens. Then, says the Chai Adam would imply, Yamtin atta mi birchas al Netilas Yadayim ad ha-boiker kisheyinak atzmei kodem atfila. The Chai Adam would say, don't make the Netilas Yadayim before you learn, make it right before you daven. Why? Because if you make it before you learn, then later when you go to the bathroom a second time, you're going to have to make another bracha according to the Rush. The Rush says it's primarily for davening, and therefore you would have to make it again, and therefore delay it. That's what the Chai Adam would seem to say. So I guess Mendy was asking, well, what if you go, before you learn, and after learn for an hour, you're not going to go again? It depends how old you are, but many people do have to go again, or it sounds like at least you should try to. You should try to make sure that before davening your body is clean. Now, here's the $1 million question. The question is, how could you do this? You're going to wait and delay the bracha of Netilas Yadayim until right before davening, but the first time you washed, you're already yotzei the mitzvah according to the Rashba. And if you're going to make the bracha later, it's going to be a bracha levatala according to the Rashba. Says the Biur Halacha l'chayra kasha alat sasai. It would seem that the eitzah of the Chai Adam is very difficult. How could be yotzei now according to the Rashba? But the fact that you washed your hand immediately when you got up, you were yotzei according to the Rashba, the obligation of washing for Berura Chadasha. How could you say on the second washing, V'tzivanu? You're not commanded to wash a second time. I already did my token washing because I'm a new creation. So I can't make a bracha the second time. So you say, the bracha I say the second time will go back on the first washing that I did an hour ago or 20 minutes ago. Says Biur Halacha, you can't do that. To say the bracha that you do on the second washing will go back on the first washing. Hefsik gadol. There is a big interruption. You have to be careful about this. You can't set up your morning in that way where you wash. You're going to wash right when you get up, and you're going to be yotzei according to the Rashba, and you're not going to make the bracha until 20 minutes later when you're ready to go to shul, or maybe an hour later before you daven. You have to be very careful. So this is the big question. The question is, the Eitz of the Chayei Adam seems to be disregarding the Rashba. It works according to the Rosh, because according to the Rosh, if your hands are dirty, you got to wash them with a bracha. So I'm going to wait until my hands are finished being dirty, namely, after the last time I go to the bathroom before davening. But according to the Rashba, I was Yotzei the mitzvah the first time. So listen to this answer. Omnam be'emes efshal yashiv. The truth is, you could possibly answer. Darei kasav abeis Yosef b'simin vav delatama rajma demishum bari chadash. According to the Rashba, that the reason for Netilas Yadayim in the morning is because you're a new creation. Yes, so I wash my hands in the morning, and I could say the bracha Netilas Yadayim in shul together with all the berachas hashachar. You could be mesader all the berachas hashachar together. Al Netilas Yadayim, Elokai Neshama, Ashanasan L'Sach Vivina, Shahesani Goy, Shahesani Aved. I'm allowed to be mesader. But I'm delaying the bracha from the performance of the mitzvah. No, Netilas Yadayim is different. It's part of the seder of the berachas hashachar. So nuchal la'achro l'sadra shara brachas after who hefsek gadol. But now the issue then is going to be, think about it, if I'm going to wake up in the morning, wash negel vaser, which is going to be yotzei my obligation according to the Rashba, get dressed, go to the bathroom, and then before I go to shul, I'm going to wash and say Netilas Yadayim, even though I was ready yotzei according to the Rashba, but I'm not saying the other berachas hashachar then. So this whole the whole allowance to delay the recitation of Netilas Yadayim is because I'm being mesadered with the other berachas hashachar, but I'm not. I'm going to go to shul and say the berachas hashachar. Ach im kein yetzarach levarach achar zatekav gam shar berachas hashachar. Then accordingly you would have to make the other berachas hashachar. Mestimas lashon hashar tshuva siman vav sivkat and heim ashashen sarvik chai adam. If you look in the Shari Tshuva, it doesn't sound like he holds like the Chai Adam. He says, Ela teikav achar asiyas hatzrachim mevarcha al Netilas Yadayim asher yatzar. The Shari Tshuva says, right when you get up in the morning, the first time you go to the bathroom, even if you're going to be delaying davening because you're going to be learning, you make Netilas Yadayim right away. V'chein b'derech hachayim lo nizkar shum chilik binyan zeh. And it could be the reason why they say to make Netilas Yadayim right in the morning. Now maybe their reason is because of our kasha, that how are you yotzei the Rashba? V'chein muchach b'shari tshuva sivkatan hei shizuhi shitasai. So in other words, some poskim seem to say, no, don't delay the Netilas Yadayim right before you daven, meaning the bracha. You're going to have to wash your hands, but many poskim say, don't delay the bracha of Netilas Yadayim to right before you daven, because you already yotzei the mitzvah according to the Rashba. By the way, what you could do, this is what I do, is right before I leave to shul, I wash my hands, and I say Netilas Yadayim, and I say Asher Yatzar, and I say Elokai Neshama, and I say Berachas HaTorah. So even though I'm not being mesader all the berachas hashachar, I'm being mesader some of the berachas hashachar. So according to the Rosh, I have to wash with the bracha now because I had just gone to the bathroom. And according to the Rashba, even though I was ready to say before, but I'm allowed to say it together with other berachas hashachar. What does the Gra say? The Gra says, like we just said, the Chai Adam. Acher kach matzas b'sefer Masarav. Says Chavetz Chaim, then I found in the Sefer Masarav, Ke Chai Adam, Shekasav Sheyes, Litzmach Berchas al Netilas Yadayim L'Tfila. You should juxtapose Netilas Yadayim for davening. V'loi Yoimar Oisoi Takeof Kishakam. Don't say it as soon as you get up in the morning. Kishayin Daito Espal Miyad, if you're not going to daven immediately. Uvilvat Shlo Yishkach, as long as you don't forget. Ad Kan L'Shainai. So you'll say, the Gra holds like the Chayei Adam. That's because the Gra says you should make the bracha right before you daven. That's not a raya at all. The Gra happens to paskin like the Rosh, hook, line, and sink. The Gra doesn't paskin like the Rashba. So maybe that's why the Gra says to make the al Netilas Yadayim right before you daven, because he's not worried about the Rasha. Maybe you say the Gra goes according to his Shita, the Pasak Sham Karash, he passes like the Rush, the Tzarech Levarach L'chol Tefillah, that you have to make, according to the Rush, before Mincha, you got to wash your hands and make a bracha, and before Mariv, you have to wash your hands and make a bracha. Why? Because they were masaking Netilas Yadayim for dirty hands before davening. Now we don't paskin that like the Rush, hook, line, and sink. But the Gra does. The Gra held you washed. Now we do paskin like the Rush. We're choishish for the Rush. Before Mincha, you must wash your hands. Before Mariv, you must wash your hands. But we're not going to make a bracha because we're choishish for the Rashba. That the reason for Netilas Yadayim is because of Berura Chadash, and that only occurs one time a day. But don't bring a raya from the Gra that he says you should make Netilas Yadayim right before you daven because he passes like the Rush, hook, line, and sink. Mashen Ken L'didan, that we try to fulfill both. Here's the bottom line. The best thing is do like the Chaya Adam. Delay the recitation of Netilas Yadayim until the washing right before davening. That's definitely like the Rush. And it could be like the Rashba, your Yotzei, like the opinion of the Beis Yosef. Namely that you arrange it with the other Berchas HaShachar. As opposed to if you don't do this way and you make the bracha right away in the morning, then if you go to the bathroom again, according to the Rush, you're going to have to make another bracha. La Rush b'vada ina yotzei, u'kedemuchach b'tshuvas harash u'beis Yosef. And the Rambam, the Gamei HaRambam, Mashas over Rush, the Ikernis Kantil Zemshah, Tefillah, V'lo B'Yisrael Berich Hadasha. And anyway, there's more evidence that the Rush is more correct in terms of what the real reason for Netilas Yadayim is. That it's because of Yadayim Askoni is him for Tefillah and not Berich Hadasha. Why? Because the Rambam holds you need to make a bracha for every Tefillah also. You know that? The Rambam holds before every tefillah you must wash your hands with a bracha, because the Rambam also goes like the Rush, hook, line, and sink. So it's very interesting. According to most Rishonim, at least the big heavyweights, the Rush and the Rambam. By the way, today's the yard side of the Rif. I don't think the Rif agrees, but you have to wash your hands for every tefillah. Therefore, bottom line is, you should delay saying Netilas Yadayim until right before you daven. And what about the Rashba? If you could be Masader other Berchos HaShachar, then that would be even better. Okay, so that's the bottom line. We finished page, we'll call it Daf Ches. There's one Biur Halacha we didn't read, so you'll do that for homework, the little one. And we'll continue next week, Be'ez Hashem, with Sif Beis. Very interestingly, even though we learned Tilchos Negel Vaser, the Mechaber never said a word about Negel Vaser yet. So the Mechaber goes back to Negel Vaser and Sif Beis. Okay, everyone, have a great day. Bracha v'hatzlacha. Shkayach.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.